Welcome to your Tech News Today, a podcast about keeping you informed and empowered by giving you the latest tech stories that impact your daily life. It's Friday, January 18th. I'm Mike James. Coming up in a bit, many people who use Facebook still don't know the extent of how they track you. Plus, a couple of spoofed emails led to real news reports, and a hotel chain has fired half of its staff of robots. We'll get started on all that in just a moment. First, we'd like to recognize our partners who help make these podcasts possible. We start with a recent study about people who use Facebook, and even with the major privacy concerns of the last year or couple of years, many still don't understand to what extent they track you. This week, the Pew Research Center released results from a study that asked people about ad categories that they've been assigned by Facebook's algorithms. Just so everyone's aware, Facebook assigns you ad categories, which you can check out for yourself if you know where to look. We'll tell you in a moment. It includes types of shows and movies it thinks you're going to like to watch, brands that you might buy, and then digs into your other interests or affiliations, or at least what Facebook thinks they are, like your political views. And so what did the survey find? That 74% of people surveyed didn't even know there was a list of ad categories that Facebook keeps on you. Now, the survey also found that once those questioned knew about them and checked them out, those preferences were generally correct. But the survey also reported that those that they surveyed were not happy about the collection of details beyond what they chose to add to their own profiles. Seems a little bit shady, yes, but it's just another day with Facebook. You can see what Facebook has about you at facebook.com/ads/preferences. Again, facebook.com/ads/preferences. And speaking of your privacy or lack thereof, Apple Chief Tim Cook is speaking out, asking the government to help people take control over the data that's being collected about their lives online. In an opinion editorial he wrote for Time magazine, he says, everyone should be able to, quote, delete their data on demand freely, easily, and online once and for all, end quote. He also said personal data should be secure and that you should be able to access, even delete it, whenever you want to. He touched on the data breaches, which he says are out of control, saying we shouldn't have to tolerate companies that irresponsibly collect, quote, huge user profiles, end quote. And he definitely added data brokers to the list. He wants the Federal Trade Commission to create what he calls a data broker clearinghouse, where companies sell your personal information would have to register what they're doing. He also believes there's still time to do something about the problem. He says it is solvable. It's not too big or too challenging or too late. We'll see. Just ahead, remember the teen who years ago sold one of his kidneys so he could buy an iPhone? Well, we'll tell you about the lasting effects of that bad decision. Right now, let me tell you about our partners at Capterra. It's been 30 years since the World Wide Web was invented, and I bet some of you are still using old, outdated software. Set yourself up for success with the new software for your business at Capterra.com. As America's digital pro, Kim gets asked about this all the time. What is the best software for someone's business? And she refers people to Capterra.com. Capterra is the leading free online resource to help you find the best software solution possible for your business and discover everything you need to know to make an informed decision. Search more than 700 specific categories of software. Everything from project management to email marketing to yoga studio management software. Join the millions of people who use Capterra each month and find the right tools for their business. Visit Capterra.com/Kim today to find the right tools to make 2019 the year for your business. Capterra.com/Kim. That's CAPTERRA.com/Kim. Well, you might remember a story about a Chinese teenager a while back who sold his kidney on the black market 8 years ago so he could get his hands on a couple of Apple's latest gadgets. Well, that decision has had lasting effects, not good ones, and it's only gotten worse. He'll now be confined to a bed for the rest of his life. It's a sad story, actually. In 2011, he and his family were living in one of China's poorest provinces, and because he couldn't afford to buy the technology otherwise, he chose a different option. He said at the time, "Why do I need a second kidney? One is enough." That's about how bad he wanted the latest iPhone 4 and the iPad 2. So he got some help from online harvesters and arranged the sale. But after the illegal surgery, his remaining kidney developed problems. Now, 8 years later, the 25-year-old kid is bedridden and constantly on dialysis. You have to wonder if he still has that iPhone or that tablet. Tech is disposable and replaceable. Body parts are not. And back here at home, Apple is trying to get Apple Watches on the wrists of seniors who have private Medicare plans. CNBC says Apple's been speaking with at least 3 providers to figure out a way to subsidize the watch for people over the age of 65 to use as a health tracker. Previous versions of the Apple Watch can track heart rate and other activities, but the newest Apple Watch Series 4 also has an EKG function that can alert you about an irregular heartbeat, and it can also detect a fall. That feature alone can be very important for seniors. The Series 4 starts at about $400, but we're not sure what kind of a discount there would be if Apple makes a deal with any of these companies. But they have worked with insurance companies in the past, including one where you could get an Apple Watch for free if you were able to achieve certain walking goals. And moving on, are you familiar with the term social engineering? Well, we've used it here before. It's a phrase that describes how people with an agenda use real names and sites to spoof you. And this recent case is a tale of BlackRock, CNBC, and the Financial Times. This spoof that targeted the world's largest asset management company was so elaborate that major media outlets reported it as factual news. An email that looked like it came from BlackRock CEO Lawrence Fink said the company was shifting investment strategies to save the environment. What? And then came an official press release calling that email a hoax, but both the first email and the press release pointed to a fake site with a few extra letters in the address, programmed with the links back to the real BlackRock site. The scheme took a lot of effort, not to steal your money, but instead to make a point, supposedly about environmental issues. So remember, the next time you find something online that's hard to believe, well, you know the rest. It's probably not true. Coming up in just a bit, how a font foiled one couple's bankruptcy case. Right now, a quick thank you to our friends who helped make this podcast possible. Well, it had to be a pretty bad experience when a hotel chain laid off half of its workforce due to a lot of complaints. And even though this Japanese hotel chain is staffed entirely by robots, sometimes they just don't get the job done. And just like people, they can be fired. The Hana chain, which translates to weird in Chinese, just fired more than half of their 243 robots because they kept breaking down or simply malfunctioning, which led to a lot more work for actual people. And this is according to the Wall Street Journal. Some look like people, others look like dinosaurs or dogs, but most had problems. Some complaints were about the robots that stay in the room with you. One report said that the robot couldn't answer basic questions, while another person said the robot in his room kept waking him up, apparently after being activated by his snoring. A lot of people are afraid that one day robots are going to take over all the jobs, and maybe that's possible, but definitely not this batch of robots, I would say. Well, forgeries are nothing new, but sometimes uncovering them happens because of the smallest little detail no one would normally even think about, like a font. And that's exactly what foiled one Canadian couple's attempt at forgery in a bankruptcy case, an overlooked detail that resulted in 2 lost houses. During the bankruptcy case, the couple claimed that 2 houses were held in trust for their children, and to prove it, they handed over signed documents from 1995 and 2004, and that's when it all fell apart. An expert was called in to take a look and found the document dated January of 1995 use the Cambria font. It's a nice font, but the problem is that the font was developed for Microsoft in 2002 and wasn't even available to the general public until 2007. A document from 2004, it used the Calibri font, which was also part of the 2002 release, but the document used a version of numbers that didn't become the font's default until 2005. Busted again. By the way, once you're done listening to our podcast, do us a favor. Tell your friends about us. We love that. It helps more people find us, and we thank you. Finally, for today's Commando Kicker, Pink Floyd was right all along. The dark side of the moon actually is a big deal. China's Jade Rabbit 2 rovers successfully landed on the moon's surface, which is the first ever soft landing on the moon's far side. The Chinese have since released stunning new images of the far side of the moon. It's a decisive move for Chinese space exploration. So where will they go next? Well, who knows, but we'll keep you up to date. For more fun and interesting facts, go to Komando.com and search for the Commando Kicker. And that's your tech news for today. If you want to win great prizes like the Commando 2-in-1 tablet and laptop, or even a Commando Bluetooth speaker, simply become a Commando ambassador. If you love getting the Commando free email newsletters, you can share it with your friends and family who will benefit from valuable tech and the digital life hacks. Invite them to get the free email alerts. And more people you invite, the more they sign up and the more prizes you win. Just go to Komando.com/ambassador to learn more.